Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. This is a bunch of Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are listening to The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So uncover your keyboards and fire up your fingers. Time to join the conversation.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Happy Friday to you. Got a few, now, like I said, out in the chat, Midnight Grim, you're both pretty. You don't need to argue, girls. Come on. Got a few things to talk about tonight. I'm not sure if we're going to go the whole hour or not. So bear with me. I got a lot of stuff to get done yet before I have to go to work tonight in preparation for the Ohio Rally for Our Rights tomorrow. So, yeah, got a lot to do. So I may cut this short. I don't know. Depends on how much steam we have rolling as we go along. Roosted Grim Midnight, how you guys doing? Good to see you. No, Midnight, I'm not going to throw Grim out. He's got a wrench too. Just ban each other and be done with it. I don't know. Roll call, how you doing this evening?
What's going up, dude?
Not much. Other than all this wonderful stuff we have to talk about today.
What's going up, dude?
Craziness, I tell you. Hey, did you see Daniel Defense? Is that on the list today?
No. What about Daniel Defense?
Daniel Defense is putting forth more anti-gun legislation because they think it's wrong, and then they want to give your personal medical records to the
Daniel
police.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
The firearms
Mr.
company
Gun-
that makes AR-15s.
Yes, Tim from Military Arms Channel just posted it on Facebook.
Well, I am at a loss for words. I hadn't heard of that. That just is crazy. Why the heck? Why would they do that? That's cutting their own throats. I'm gonna have to look that up here after I get off of this.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Look at now the NRA is texting me. Yeah, they're a bunch of turncoats. I mean, they're overpriced for one, and two.
Yeah, it isn't like It isn't like I was ever going to buy their stuff because, you know, way overpriced. But still.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, man. And now we see where these manufacturers are starting to settle. They're starting to settle for the dollar. And, you know, that's going to hurt them in the long run.
Yeah. Grim says add them to the Springfield Armory and Rock River Armory list. Yeah, I'm with you. Don't buy from them. Midnight says, wait. The guy that stopped the church shooter used a GD Daniel Defense. Yeah, he did. Wow. Crazy. I wish I knew more about this because we'd probably be talking about it for a long time. But since I don't know anything about it, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Roosted, how you doing? John Brown, how you doing? A couple things to talk about tonight. Let's see. Where do we start? Let's start with the news out of Florida. Got a piece by A.W.R. Hawkins, and then I'm going to read a follow-up piece from NBC News. A.W.R. Hawkins on Breitbart says, Florida House Democratic Caucus votes unanimously to ensure teachers cannot shoot back if attacked. Florida's House Democratic Caucus voted unanimously Tuesday to ensure that teachers cannot shoot back if under attack. All 41 members voted against allowing teachers and school staff to undergo training to be armed for self-defense. Tampa Bay Times reports that the House, nevertheless, voted 71-42 in favor of arming teachers. The Florida Senate voted prior to the House adopting a first-in-the-nation program that will train as many as 10 school personnel to carry firearms in every school. The Senate's bill allows school districts to arm custodians, principals, librarians, and counselors instead of teachers, which is a move designed to win the support of Governor Rick Scott, who is also fighting to ensure that teachers cannot shoot back if under attack. Breitbart reported on February 23rd that Governor Scott pushed firearm confiscation and increased minimum purchase age for rifles, a bump stock ban, and tougher background checks in response to the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. He coupled this gun control push with continued vocal opposition to arming teachers for school safety. Scott suggested Floridians should rely on law enforcement for safety rather than on teachers. Yeah, because, that worked out so well. After that piece was published, just on March 7th, yesterday, day before yesterday. I work midnights. My days run together. Sorry. This piece out of NBC News by Phil Helzel and the Associated Press. Florida legislature sends gun and school safety bill to governor. So they passed it, and then today he signed it. Florida's House of Representatives on Wednesday voted to approve a gun and school safety bill that would raise the age to buy all firearms to 21 and impose a 3-day waiting period for most gun purchases, and potentially put guns into the hands of some educators. The House passed SB 7026, the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act, by a vote of 67 to 50 Wednesday evening. The bill is in response to the February 14th mass shooting at the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland that left 17 people dead, most of them students. Senate voted 2018 on Monday to pass the bill, sending it to the House. It now goes to Governor Rick Scott for his signature, which, again, he signed today. The bill also provides new mental health programs for schools and provisions to keep guns away from people who show signs of mental illness or violent behavior. What they're talking about is the so-called emergency protective order or firearms protective order, where they can have an ex parte hearing, which means you're not there, and take your guns from you. You won't know about it till they come knocking on your door and ask you to, quote unquote, voluntarily surrender your firearms, which, if you refuse, quickly becomes involuntarily, as they'll just come take them. The measure also prohibits bump stocks, devices which allow semi-automatic firearms to fire faster, and which police said were used in an October 1st mass shooting in Las Vegas that left 58 people dead. It would also create a so-called Guardian program. Gee, no bias here. It would also create a so-called Guardian program that would let some school employees and teachers carry handguns if they go through law enforcement training and if the school district decides to participate in the program. From what I've read, that school Guardian or school marshal program requires 120 hours of training at least, plus yearly training and weapon inspections, yearly qualifications, which actually, strangely enough, the qualification course is more stringent than Florida law enforcement is required to pass. Plus yearly diversity training and crisis management training and defensive tactics training. And I think actually it's more training than their cops get. So teachers will be more highly trained than Florida law enforcement, it seems like. And well, maybe that's a good thing because we saw what their training was worth, didn't we? Scott has repeatedly said he doesn't support arming teachers and had pushed lawmakers to adopt his proposal that called for at least one law enforcement officer in every school and one for every 1,000 students who attend a school. Well, that's not what happened. He signed this law into effect. So if they meet the qualifications, which are pretty stringent, then they'll be able to carry. The bill also prohibits the sale or even possession of bump stocks. So, automatically now in Florida, once this law takes effect, I think they have 90 days to dispose of. That I may be wrong on that figure. I may be confusing that with the bill that they're proposing in Illinois. There's so many of them going around, you need a scorecard to keep track. Anyway, you're going to be a felon in Florida if you retain possession of your bump stock after this law goes into effect. Enjoy that. Elections have consequences, people. Be careful who you're voting for. Florida's bill would not ban assault-style rifles. Let's see. And it just goes into students are calling for more gun control. Dick's and Walmart are, well, being dicks.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's funny. I say being dicks and Night Strike pops up. So, yeah, there you have it. Oh, yes, it also raises the age to buy all firearms to 21.
You talking about Florida?
Yep.
Yeah, I just went over that with on Gary's chat.
Yep.
Yeah, fun stuff there.
Enjoy the consequences of your elections, Florida. Enjoy it. Problem is, they want to bring this garbage to the rest of us, too.
Well, I heard that the Florida guy, he wants to run for the Senate now.
Who?
Good luck on that. Whoever signed this bill in Florida.
Rick Scott, governor.
He wants to run for the Senate.
Oh, they'll probably elect him, too.
Yeah, because the people that dictate all the laws in Florida are in that one area, and that everybody else's voice doesn't count. So, bye-bye.
Yep, they all live in Southeast Florida. If you live in Central Florida or Northern Florida, you're just a swamp running hillbilly, and we don't care what you say. That's pretty much how it is down there. I lived there briefly for a bit.
Yeah, they couldn't get away with this in South Carolina. You know why?
Why's that?
And there's enough people to rebel again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we know how well South Carolina likes to do that.
It's not like it hasn't happened before. Try and take all our guns away. Sign all of our constitutional rights away. See what happens. I dare the South Carolina government to do that because...
Yeah, no kidding.
There are still people running Confederate flags in their trucks, and there are still people saying the South will rise again. Don't give them a chance.
Yeah, no kidding. Don't give them an excuse.
Yeah.
Midnight Range TM says, I say go to slingshots only, and you have to be 75 to buy legally. Yeah, that's where they're heading, and then they'll take the slingshots. People... The libs are always so lovingly talking about Great Britain and Australia and their gun bans and whatnot, but consequently, quote unquote knife violence. I hate the naming it after the weapon used. Knife violence, gun violence, club violence, boot violence. It's just violence.
Okay, well, instead of just saying knife violence, just saying stabbing violence.
Yeah, stabbings and cuttings have went up dramatically. To the point where, then they're going to take the knives. Well, they already have in a lot of places. They include the cuttings on knives there.
They include the cuttings in the stabbing statistics, so it's just stabbings.
Yeah.
But the thing is, look at the statistics of another country, okay? Like, say, the United Kingdom, okay? They banned literally all guns from people, and the crime before the stabbings, they weren't that much. But overnight, after they took all the guns away from people, the stabbings went through the roof.
Yep. Well, the murder rate in general went through the roof.
And it hasn't gone down ever since.
Nope.
Because it's opening the door for criminals to do their dastardly deeds.
Yep.
And also the fact that in these European countries, hell, even in Australia, you're not allowed to fight back against your attacker. You're
exactly. You took the words out of my mouth.
And hope you live.
If you defend yourself, you're getting charged too. That's crazy.
Where's this law at?
Just about. Go to Great Britain and defend yourself if you're attacked. See how quickly you end up in jail. That's how it happens.
Well, I'll never leave these shores again.
The only time I'm leaving these shores is when I have my own military.
Ozark Yeoman says, quote, when we get to knives, we'll look at regulating that, unquote. The Reverend Not So Sharpton. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure that believe me, they have this plan outlined and detailed far in advance. They're playing the long game. They always have been.
And by the way, knives are already regulated in almost every state anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, don't kid yourself thinking you're going to have knives after they get rid of guns. You're not going to have anything.
Nope. Nothing. That's their ultimate goal. They don't want us to be able to defend ourselves. That makes us easier prey.
But they want to be able to be protected by law enforcement and armed security guards. Well, they don't want anybody. They don't want any standard citizen or upstanding citizen to own a firearm.
Nope. How many armed security were at the Oscars while they were railing against guns? 500-600 guys with guns. Come on. Between private security and the police and whatnot, all their security details, there were a lot of guns protecting them as they were saying, you shouldn't have guns but our people should because we're like important and stuff.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. How many crimes could have been prevented had those officers not had to be there?
Well, yeah.
How many cases would have gotten solved had that law enforcement had the time to go and take care of that instead of going and protecting rich assholes?
That's right. Roosted says unarmed subjects, subject to whatever they decide is best for us, and that's exactly it. They know better than we do. We are nothing but rubes who can't decide what to eat, when to eat. Well, as a matter of fact, what to eat, seriously, that's actually something they believe. I mean, look at Bloomberg's laws in New York on salt and the size of your sugary drink and all this garbage. Literally, they don't want us to have any choices in anything. They know better than we do. We're just simply drones.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I don't want to.
And then anytime you want to argue against it, they do their best to
call you a Nazi, a fascist.
Call you a Nazi, call you a bully, call you a terrorist, as Connecticut's Governor Malloy did to the NRA. Now, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the NRA, particularly the Institute for Legislative Inaction, really, the ILA, but I think their training arm and their education arm is pretty top notch. That being said, while I disagree with their methods and their policies when it comes to legislation, I don't believe they're terrorists. However, Governor Malloy apparently does. This is a piece by Jen Bernstein, and it says, Hartford, a war of words has erupted between two Connecticut lawmakers and the National Rifle Association. The idea that the NRA should be recognized as a voice for gun safety is ridiculous, Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin said Tuesday night. Yeah, Luke, because, what have you done? What has Everytown for Gun Safety actually done? Well, show me their training classes, their safety classes. Show me something comparable to Eddie Eagle. They don't do anything. So, yeah, to say that the NRA isn't a voice for gun safety is ludicrous.
They could do more, I'll give you that. But
they could do more, but they're not doing nothing. Exactly. Bronin, firing back at the NRA, said the organization does more to oppose progress and prevent collaborative dialogue about gun safety than any other organization in the country. Well, I guess that would depend on how you define progress. If progress is the complete stripping of all of our rights, well, I guess they do impede progress to some extent. And let's see, where else was that? Oh, collaborative dialogue. In order to have a collaborative dialogue, you have to be willing to collaborate with somebody. You have to be willing to talk with them. You have to be willing to discuss with them. When you demonize someone for correcting you on your basic facts and call them bullies because they correct your ignorance, if you call them terrorists because you disagree with them, you're not going to have a dialogue with anyone. The back and forth between the two started earlier this week when Bronin called on Connecticut lawmakers to rip any mention of the NRA out of state laws. Right now, Connecticut residents who want to get a firearm permit needs to go through a basic safety training course and get certified. State law names NRA training as a valid course for firearms instruction. NRA ILA spokesperson Catherine Mortensen responded to Bronin's call with the following statement. No organization in the world does more to promote the safe and responsible use of firearms than the NRA. The NRA's Basics of Pistol Shooting course is the best training available for anyone seeking to carry a concealed firearm for self-protection. I don't know if it's the best, but it's not bad. By eliminating the NRA training and standards for Connecticut's permit holders, Mayor Bronin is putting politics above the safety of Connecticut citizens. The NRA said Connecticut is one of 15 states that recognizes NRA training. If the NRA had its way, we wouldn't be permitting in the first place. Yeah, I don't know about that. Then they wouldn't have the monopoly on the training. Said Bronin, this is an organization that opposes universal background checks, despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of Americans and even a large number of NRA members support universal background checks. I suspect that you're not exactly being truthful on that one. This fight isn't just Bronin's. Malloy also came out Monday and agreed with Bronin's call, even going on to say the NRA has developed into a terrorist organization. They act, quite frankly, in some cases as a terrorist organization, said Malloy. You want to make safer guns? We will boycott your company. That's who they are. That's what they do. Malloy said the NRA is a different organization than what it used to be. The NRA today is a far cry from the NRA that in 1999 said that teachers shouldn't carry weapons in schools, or in the 90s said we should have universal background checks. They have, in essence, become a terrorist organization. Jennifer Baker from the NRA released the following statement in regards to Malloy's terrorist remarks. The NRA is composed of over 5 million law-abiding citizens, many of whom are teachers, doctors, policemen, farmers, moms, and dads residing in Connecticut. So let's be clear, Governor Malloy just called tens of thousands of his constituents terrorists. Voters are fed up with politicians who engage in political stunts and childish name-calling rather than serious policy discussions aimed at making our schools and communities safer. Yeah, amen to that. A perfect example is the absurd political stunt to remove NRA trainers from the permitting process in Connecticut. No organization in the world does more to promote the safe and responsible use of firearms than the NRA. NRA's Basics of Pistol Shooting course is the best training available for anyone seeking to carry a concealed firearm for self-protection. Public safety isn't improved by eliminating the NRA training and standards for Connecticut's permit holders or by calling people who disagree with you terrorists. NRA members love our children and want them to be safe just as much as anyone else. We just disagree that punishing law-abiding citizens who want to exercise their constitutional right to self-defense is the way to achieve that goal. Well, that sounds good. Too bad their recent behavior hasn't quite borne that out with their, oh, let's go ahead and regulate bump stocks. That's okay. But in general, I agree with their sentiments. You know, the solution to all of this isn't to demonize and punish law-abiding citizens, strip them of their constitutional rights by the millions and their property, turning them into felons overnight if they refuse to comply with your tyranny. You cannot have a dialogue if your default reaction, your default response, your default tactic is bully, terrorist, child killer. You can't have a dialogue with someone who's going to do that with you because they don't want to hear the facts. They don't. They're not interested in the facts. They're not interested in having a dialogue. Unless, of course, the dialogue is, you people need to do this, and everybody else going, okay. Thoughts?
That guy's an idiot. So he's basically blaming everybody for expressing their constitutional rights. Now, this is the thing. Now, are these people going to get a hold of this statement and actually put it into motion and make sure this guy never finds his way into politics again? That is the problem that we are having. We're constantly, it's Connecticut. We're constantly electing people that live well beyond their means, that do crimes, never get punished for it, to dictate what we do in our life. And until that standard changes, we will always be forced to be put in this position, and that is the defensive position. Until we start electing the common man and start getting people like this guy from Connecticut and all these other people like the schmuck in Florida, we'll never be a total free society. We'll always have this hanging over our heads. And you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the NRA, and I'm still not going to be the biggest fan of the NRA until they start going on the offensive, and instead of just putting out a statement, they start putting their money where their mouth is, because we all know they have pockets full of it.
Yeah, well, their problem is they don't like to fight in court. They don't want to fight in court because they don't want to lose in court. They somehow feel that that's going to weaken their position. Well, you can't win if you don't fight. Yeah, you might take a loss here or there, but you know, you're going to probably, if your cause is just and if the law is on your side, you're going to win more than you lose. Look at the Second Amendment Foundation. 80% of the current case law that has come down the pike that is pro-gun is as a direct result of SAF backed cases, backed lawsuits. So, you know, yeah, they win, they lose some, but they win more than they lose. And that's how you get the ball down the field. You have to do it and do it and do it. You know, it's hard to have these conversations with these people.
Well, these people don't want to have a conversation with you. They say they want to have a conversation. They say they want to find a solution. But really what they're saying is, I don't want to have an actual conversation with you. I don't want to have a discussion. I don't want to have a debate. I only have one solution, and it's either this solution or nothing.
Yep.
Because I'm gonna borrow from Nicholas Freitas. I'm gonna borrow and say this. Remember, the Democratic Party, you know, these left-wing anti-gun liberals, they're the ones who instituted in the 40s the Asian concentration camps here in America. They're also the party that was against women's suffrages.
Yep.
Okay. The same party that was that instituted segregation.
Yep.
And what was it? Mass rebellion as well.
Yep. But we're the Nazis.
So apparently that same party is telling the Republicans that don't want gun control that they're evil demons that are Hitler.
Yep.
And Nazis.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but you know, you can't put your sins on the other party just because you don't like something.
But you know what? They do it, and they've done it, and they've been successful at it. They are masters of the big lie propaganda. You keep repeating the big lie over and over and over again until it becomes the truth.
So what if we start saying the truth
really,
over and over again?
There's a radio host, Jim Quinn, who says that if you want to know what the Democrats are up to, what the liberals are up to, look at what they're accusing other people of doing, because that's what they're doing. And he's right. All the things that they accuse us of, that's what they're doing. That's their agenda. And it works. You know, they love Saul Alinsky because his rules for radicals work. His strategies work. They follow them to a T. And it's hard to have a dialogue with somebody, when they're going to do absolutely nothing but name call and try to isolate and polarize.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to have a dialogue with them when they're willfully ignorant and willfully stupid and willfully misrepresenting things. Case in point, another piece by A.W.R. Hawkins and Breitbart, Huffington Post senior reporter, Constitution gives gun owners greater rights than women. First off, let's just ignore the fact that the Constitution doesn't give us jack shit. The Constitution enshrines and protects rights that were pre-existing and given us by our Creator. They were natural rights that already were there and are the birthright of every person. So let's forget about the Constitution giving us anything, because the Constitution doesn't give us jack. Huffington Post senior reporter Emily Peck says the Constitution gives gun owners greater rights than women. Her statement completely overlooks the fact that women are one of the fastest growing demographics for gun ownership, and that twice as many women as men obtained concealed carry permits during Barack Obama's second term. Peck claimed, yeah, I know, Midnight, I kind of cussed there. I shouldn't have. Don't follow my bad example. Gun owners have the Second Amendment in place since the 18th century. The U.S. is one of only 3 countries that offer constitutional protection to gun owners. Women, meanwhile, have been fighting for an equal rights amendment for decades. That's because the Constitution does not actually grant women equal rights under the law, setting the country apart from 131 other nations that explicitly guarantee gender equality in their constitutions. well, gee, since it's illegal to discriminate against someone based upon their gender, all 587 of them, how can you say that? Women have the same rights as men do, period. Matter of fact, in some ways they have more, but that's neither here nor there. She tried to illustrate her point. This injustice burns all the more now in the wake of the Parkland, Florida shooting, in which a 19-year-old man used an AR-15 to murder 17 people, including 14 high school students. The shooter had a legal right to his guns. He apparently had an arsenal. And because he had no criminal record, the FBI and police did not have any legal standing to take them away. What do you want, lady? This isn't Minority Report. In 2014, police were similarly hamstrung in the case of a 22-year-old man who went on to kill 6 and injure 13 in a rampage in Isla Vista, California. Again, what do you want? Do you want us to think, well, you might do something wrong, so we're going to take all your crap? No. In the United States, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. You don't take someone's rights without due process for a good reason. Now, granted, in the Florida case, they did have good reason on many occasions, but this wonderful state whose power you wish to grow, whose all-knowingness and benevolence you wish us all to thrive under, screwed up on multiple occasions and failed to do their jobs and follow due process in this kid's case. I shouldn't call him a kid. He's 18. He's a man. Contrast those cases with what happened to Jessica Gonzalez, a Colorado mother whose 3 children, just 7, 9, and 10, were abducted and shot to death by her husband. Those children should still be alive today. Gonzalez had obtained a protective order against her husband, who had been violent before. The police refused to enforce it, declining to get involved in a private matter between a man and his wife. Yeah, they should have. If that's the case, they should have got involved in that. But what does that have to do with women having less rights than gun owners? You do realize, lady, that women are gun owners, right? Gonzalez sued the police, arguing that she had a right to protection. Her case went all the way to the Supreme Court, but she lost in 2005. The court ruled that Gonzalez, now known as Jessica Lenahan, had no constitutional right to help from law enforcement, which actually proves the point that all of us have been saying, that you need to have firearms in order to protect yourself, because the police cannot and will not be obligated to do it for you. Peck's story fails at numerous points, not the least of which is that the ruling rejecting any claim to a constitutional right to police protection is not framed for women only. Rather, it is that Americans in general have no claim to a right to police protection under the auspices of the 14th Amendment. However, the Supreme Court did rule that states could create a system by which police departments are generally held financially accountable for crimes that better policing might have prevented. But again, Peck's greatest oversight is in presenting gun rights as men's rights, then pitting those against women's rights. Natural rights are not gender specific. Men and women have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble. Both men and women have the right to self-defense and the right to keep and bear arms. Men and women both enjoy the right to pursue and possess private property, to be secure in that property. And the list goes on. And it does go on. Women have absolutely every right that men do. Women have absolutely every right that gun owners do, because gun owners isn't a man or woman thing, it's a human thing. Ridiculous. And these are the kinds of people that want to have a dialogue, quote unquote. Well, I'm sorry, we've already shown that they don't want to have a dialogue. They just want to accuse us of not wanting a dialogue.
Yeah, they just want to force feed us one solution out of like millions of solutions. And whenever we try and come up with a solution, our solution is no, you can't have that solution. It's stupid. We only accept one solution, and that's get rid of all guns. Yeah,
Roosted brings up a good point. So we have no right to expect the police to protect us, and they want us to give up our rights to protect ourselves and rely on the police to do so. They'll even say that. The police should protect you. But they don't have to. Yeah. Crazy. Doesn't sound like there's much to talk to them about. And that's it. That's it, Roosted. There isn't. Our rights have been compromised and dialogued and talked away over decades.
And this is where we're at now.
It is exactly
the last vestiges of our rights is right here, right now. If we don't fight for them, they're gone. Say goodbye.
Yeah, that's why we have to fight. That's why we have to call our elected representatives, write our elected representatives, handwritten it preferably, email our elected representatives, do all of those all the time. I mean, you guys know I have my senators and congressmen and phone numbers in my phone. I've called them live on the air. We need to all of us do that, particularly now. We need to do it all the time, but we really need to do it now. We need to go, if we can make it to these Capitol rallies, any time that there's one planned in your state. If you can go, you should go. Midnight Rain says, I love your show, Mike, but it makes me want to throw stuff. Yeah, makes me want to throw stuff too, believe it. I'm sitting around doing this research for this stuff, and my blood pressure, I just feel my head start pounding. Oh.
Well, if you go check out my Instagram, you'll see the conversation I had with some lady on Facebook. And I'm done talking to these people. I can't handle it. I don't think my heart can handle it. And, at this point in time, I'm done talking. The letter that I got from my representative was shameful. It was disgraceful. And it just really determines where he's going to sit with me. And that's at home and collecting an unemployment check or just living on the benefits that the state gives him. Because I will
been elected. He's got a pension.
Yeah, he can sit on that pension because he'll never sit on another board of directors or anything, because I've been posting his email, which had misspelled wording in it, and then to nab my mom and stick my mom on the letterhead as to demify that she was having the same opinion as I have is asinine. And I cannot stand these people anymore, and I will not talk. I will only protest, and I will only talk to these people if they're willing to give up their seats. If these other people are willing to move out of the country, that's the only other time I'm going to talk to these people. I can't talk to them anymore. The talking is done. I mean, we can sit here and talk until we're blue in the face, but it's time for action. It's time for everybody to toe this line. And it's getting dangerous, and it's getting awful dangerous. And I see people laughing and, oh, my state won't come to this. You never know what the next bill in a state's going to be.
Yeah.
Especially when these people start signing stuff like they did in Florida. Everybody will jump on that bandwagon. Look at Illinois. Look at California. All these people are following these traits. And, it's time to stop this. It's time to stop it now before it really starts to spread.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm kind of disappointed in my close circle of friends. I'm trying to push this rally tomorrow. Push it. Oh no, I can't go for this. I can't go for that. Oh, well, that bill's so stupid. They'll never pass that. Well, you know why they'll never pass it? Because better men than you are going to get up and go, stand on their feet, have their voices heard, and let our legislators know that this is not acceptable. It's got me angry with them for their complacency and lack of interest in standing up for their rights. And that's something that we have to fight as Second Amendment advocates and maybe it's a little arrogant to say, but activists, is to get people involved. I don't know how to shake these people out of their complacency. Just don't know how to do it. There is some good news, though. Apparently, I'm not going to read the whole article because we're kind of running out of time, and I got a couple other things I want to get to. Exclusive. Parkland student Kyle Kashuv arrives in Washington to talk gun rights and school safety. This kid apparently is fairly centrist, which is somewhat refreshing. He is not he identifies as Republican. He is not on the, I'll read some excerpts. Let me see. Where is he? Setting aside his luggage, Kashev paused when asked if he considers himself a survivor of the Parkland High School shooting, even though cable news has seized on the terminology to define his classmates. The only people I think can be branded as survivors are people in the freshman building, unless you were in the freshman building, or people who lost their best friends. You know, he seems to not be one of these kids that's trying to jam themselves into the spotlight or being drug in by the exploitative media. He said he had some criticism of the response from the quote-unquote cool club of students who quickly organized after the shooting and issued dramatic calls for gun control. I think they had good intentions in the beginning, but I think it got corrupted, he said. It turned into anti-guns, anti-guns, anti-guns. I think the solution is about more than just anti-guns. Generally, he is supportive of the Never Again movement and plans to attend the march later this month, but he worries that it has become too narrowly focused on gun control. Let's see. By the time Breitbart News met with Kashev, he had plans to meet with Senator Chris Murphy, Senator Marco Rubio, Chuck Schumer, and Speaker Paul Ryan. He also plans to meet with officials at the National Rifle Association. He wants to visit the president, but hasn't heard back, to show that some of the Parkland students are ready to have a conversation, apparently, as opposed to just screaming for gun control. Part of his decision to speak out was a frustration that only one side of the political debate was being highlighted by the media. He's partially annoyed at David Hogg, whom he recalls meeting at a drone club meeting at school when school was just normal. He thought it was absurd that Hogg boasted about hanging up on the White House aide who reached out to him to invite him to discuss gun control. Look, I wasn't a fan of Obama, but if he reached out to me to talk about an issue I cared about, I'd at least respectfully take the call. I don't think he's a bad dude, Kashev added, although he is annoyed at Hogg and his allies have focused their rage on branding the NRA as evil and sparking corporate boycotts of the organization. I don't think it has to be like us versus them. I think on some issues we agree. Leave the gun control debate out of it for now. Attempts to reach out to the group in the spirit of inclusion have failed, although he says he is not concerned about their differing views. Says that he attended the student march in Tallahassee, Florida, but said it quickly devolved into a hegemony of elites and a closed circle group that excluded opposite opinions. Well, duh. I know you don't have much life experience, kid, but you've just learned that how the anti-gunners and / liberals operate. Says he has many Republican friends and knows underground Trump supporters who agree with his reactions, but he admits that they do not want the negative attention to follow them for the rest of their lives. Isn't that a damn shame that you have to be worried about negative attention because you hold a differing political view? You have to hide and be underground and in the closet as a Republican, as a conservative? That is shameful. This kid, though, said he admits that he considered the risks of speaking out, but ultimately decided he was not afraid. I don't think I'm doing anything like necessarily bad here. I'm just trying to voice my opinion. Well, good for you, kid. I may not agree with everything you say, kid, but I'm glad that you have the fortitude to stand up on your feet and use your voice. Good for you.
He's better than David Hogg.
Oh, Jesus. Midnight Range says that Hogg kid was on Bill Maher last week. Maher did everything but give the kid a handy. He kissed his ass the whole time. Wow. Yep, that's how it is. If you espouse the beliefs that they want, then they love you. If you don't, then they hate you and you're a bully, a racist, a homophobe, misogynist, xenophobe, terrorist, and any other ist or ism that they can accuse you of. And to round things out, I'm going to give a couple self-defense shout-outs. One is somewhat tainted, though, and we'll talk about it. Because, again, it demonstrates the wonderful bias that our lovely media Sure doesn't have. No, not at all. Employee at North Hollywood. I want you guys to listen closely to the verbiage they use here. Employee at North Hollywood Auto Parts store fatally shoots suspected burglar. By Josh Kane, the San Gabriel Valley Tribune. March 4th, 2018, 1:45 p.m. An employee at an auto parts store in North Hollywood shot and killed a man he believed was robbing the business on Saturday, March 3rd, police said. The shooting victim, who has not been identified, was pronounced dead at the scene. Sergeant Glenn McNeil of the LA Police Department's North Hollywood Division only described the victim as a man in his late 20s. The suspect was detained and questioned by LAPD homicide detectives, but was not arrested. McNeil also described him as in his late 20s. McNeil said police got the call about a shooting around 5:45 p.m. at the store at the 6100 block of Lancashire Boulevard. He described the business as a vehicle instrument company that repairs cars. McNeil said the owner of the store noticed someone in the building's back lot where vehicles were parked on a security camera. Yeah. Suspecting the person was trying to steal something, the owner sent one of the store employees to the back. The employee, armed with a handgun, encountered the man in the back parking lot. The employee later told police the man became aggressive. The man approached him, trying to force him back into the business. That's when the employee fired his handgun, striking the man and killing him, police said. McNeil did not say how many shots were fired, but multiple news reports indicated he fired several shots. McNeil did not say whether there were any words exchanged between the men. He said the security camera footage of the shooting backed up the employee's version of the events. He also said there were no weapons found on the dead man. There was good video of the incident. It was determined that the employee was protecting his life. Did you guys notice what they did there?
So the employee's a victim, or is the suspect, and the scumbag is a victim.
Exactly. They live in bizarro world where everything's the opposite. You know, they're classifying the scumbag who was breaking into this business, trying to steal something, as a victim because he got shot. He was not a victim. The business owners were the victim. The guy that got shot was the suspect. How in the world are you going to classify a criminal scumbag that video proved was the aggressor in the incident, was there when he shouldn't have been, was up to no good, video proof of it, and he's the victim? Well, it's because he got shot with an evil gun. Gunpowder Beauty says, yeah, this is the same media that calls guns fully semi-automatic. Yeah, I know, right? You don't go full semi-automatic. And that's about it, you know. However, in Fresno, things turned out pretty well. Suspect allegedly hits elderly concealed carry permit holder with stick, gets shot 3 times. 73-year-old concealed carry permit holder shot a 22-year-old suspect 3 times Thursday morning in Fresno, California, after the suspect allegedly attacked the permit holder with a stick. Your Central Valley reports that the permit holder was taking his normal early morning walk along a canal when the suspect approached and had a verbal confrontation with the gentleman. Fresno Police Chief Jerry Dyer said the confrontation escalated when the suspect allegedly picked up a large stick or wooden object and struck the 73-year-old. The elderly man pulled a handgun and shot the suspect 3 times in response. The suspect was taken to the hospital to receive treatment for gunshot wounds, while the elderly man was taken to be treated for the wounds sustained after being hit with the stick. Chief Dyer said preliminary investigation results point to the elderly man being justified in shooting the suspect. See, this here is exactly right. The piece of crap that hit an old man with a stick, that's a suspect. Well, not anymore, he's not, right? That guy, the old fella, had the means and the opportunity and the ability to defend himself. You know, again, as I always have to throw this caveat out there, I'm not celebrating the death of somebody. I'm celebrating the preservation of someone's life and that fact that they had the means and the ability to do so. You know, again, people, I say this all the time, you know, we need to We need to make sure that we are on our legislators so that we all have the ability to defend ourselves if we need to. You know, it's Second Amendment is not now, nor has it ever been, about hunting. It is about the protection of life, property, and liberty. Period. Not about deer. Go ahead and go through the room here. Night Strike, you have anything you want to close out with?
Should not be infringed.
True to form, outstanding. I'd be disappointed if you
I also have to add something to it. Damn it.
Okay.
Shall not be infringed, damn it.
Roll call. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just one brief statement. I know you got to run, but real quick. This comes from somebody that was called a delinquent, and he was deemed to be uncontrollable in everything that we're called. If you love wealth greater than your liberty, then tranquility of servitude greater than the enmity contest for freedom. Go home from us in peace. We seek not your counsel, not your arms. Crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you. May your chains set lightly upon you. Prosperity forget that you were our countrymen. And that was from Samuel Adams.
Outstanding. Outstanding. That's it. That's it. I'm going to close things out by reminding you guys that I'll be covering the Ohio Second Amendment rally tomorrow, starting around 1 o'clock-ish. I'll be going on the air, maybe a little bit before. I'll be going live periodically as my battery and the ability to recharge my battery holds out. Also during the week, I will be posting a video of the proceedings. Apparently Hickok 45 is going to be there, and that's been confirmed. He's going to be speaking, so I'll try to record that and maybe do that live as well. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you are subscribed, hit the notification icon so that you can see when these live streams are going to pop up. You know, next month it'll be the USCCA Expo, where I'll be doing some live stuff and some produced stuff there, and got quite a few companies that are interested in me talking to them and going on camera with me, so that'll be pretty cool.
I have a question before you go.
Sure, go ahead.
Are you going to Tulsa?
No, sir. I'm going to the USCCA Expo instead. I figured Gun Channels has like 30 dudes going to be covering the Tulsa thing, so I'm going to go ahead and give everybody the
that doesn't mean you still
USCCA
could
Expo.
go and also participate in the awesomeness.
Well, I have to prioritize things. The USCCA thing is just a couple days, and I with my wife's health problems, I have to kind of stick in the immediate vicinity. It's only 4 hours away. So
okay.
Yeah, I can't go off and cavort with everybody in Tulsa. No drunken karaoke for me.
Well, maybe next time.
Yep. But in closing, folks, remember, call, write, email, get hold of your Congress critters. We have to be good ambassadors for the Second Amendment. We have to constantly let them know what we think, and we need to never, ever, ever give up the fight. Have a good one. Till next time.
Should not be infringed.